Λοιπόν, μην πέσω όλοι να με φάτε. Sorry I'm late. Starting 10-15 minutes late with this show. Welcome to Thrylos International, your number one English source for all things Olympiacos. We've got the stars behind us, Champions League, match day 1 around the corner against Pafos, champions from Cyprus. I did realize as well that in our intro video, we opened with a Europa League backdrop. That has to change. That's something that will change as part of the upgrades and bringing you a better experience at Thrylos 7 International. Got a special guest with me today, an old friend coming back on the show after a while. He's a Cypriot football expert extraordinaire, good friend of the podcast. Without further ado, I'm bringing in Stel. Stelios, aka Stel. What's going on, man?
Good evening, bro. How's it going?
Good. I was just telling you before we come on, finished my Monday night gym session. Also explains why I'm a little bit late, but I wouldn't miss this for anything else that I'd be doing after gym. I'd normally be going to bed, mate. But
I'm humbled.
no, mate. But it's always a pleasure. Any excuse to get you back on the show and have a chat. It's exciting, 5 years without Champions League for Olympiacos. It's been an interesting couple of years for the club. Conference League, Youth League success in Europe. We're living a golden era, I think, of the club. Like ever since January last season, every game at the Karaiskakis has been sold out. The game against Karaiskakis on the weekend, which we won 5-0, that was sold out. It was the first time fans actually went to the stadium. We had a ban on match day 1 for the game against Asteras, so we served that, and it was a tasty evening against Karaiskakis. Daniel Podence getting back on the field, making his debut. But now all that's behind us. We've got the Champions League starting up again, and the draw brought us Pafos among other, and here we are to talk about that and preview the game, get your thoughts. But before we dive into that, like for those of you that don't know who you are, tell us a bit about who you are. Like This Is MAPPA, the podcast, No Choftes. Tell everyone.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for inviting me back on, mate. It's been a while. Obviously, we haven't really had anything to talk about to get me on, I guess. But the last time I came on, you guys were down in the dumps. I remember it was just like, oh my god, what the fuck is going? Pardon my language. Like, what the f is going on with our club? And now I'm on. It's like, oh, we've won the Conference League in the time, and we were in the Champions League. Oh well, maybe I shouldn't come on anymore because I must have been a jinx or something, bro.
No, don't give me reason. Still, don't give me reason to bitch, man.
I'm trying to think, which players did you have? Which players did you have at that time, man? I'm trying to think, which players did you have at that time? And you lot were rinsing them. I was like, shit.
Oh, mate. At that time, we had like Sima Vesalco like coming in and retiring after a few months, like rescinding contract. Like
we had that Ukrainian fullback. Was he a Ukrainian fullback you had?
Oleg Ryabchuk, yeah, but he was he was one of the better players. He was one of the better players in that team. We had bloody Pierre Kunde in midfield.
Yeah. Wow.
That was post Bruno era. We'll talk about Bruno and Pepe.
Full circle.
I mean, we're having bants here over players that we're about to face on Wednesday, like Bruno and Pepe, among other, who we'll talk about. But yeah, mate, it's wild. It's wild. It's not really I can't call it a transformation. Like obviously, like some things fall into place. Like the stars aligns. We've got a very, very ambitious, driven owner. To say the least, and he put his money where his mouth is. Back in January a couple of years ago, brought in 5 players, and Mendilibar coming in after we had changed 3 coaches already, and the rest is history. But again, that we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the campaign that's about to get started. But yeah, tell us about your journey, like from No Choftes to This Is MAPPA. a little bit about Cypriot football?
Well, I can go even further back. I've been doing media for the last 14 years, and it just started with a Premier League podcast on my couch over there. Okay, I've changed it since then. It's just with a few mates, and then we started getting interviews with former players. Some names that you probably never heard of, like Leon Knight, Rowan Ricketts, and a few others just started jumping on, and then it grew from there. And then I became really good mates with Rodri Giggs, Steve Eyre. Steve Eyre used to be a coach at Man City, and we carried on the podcast there. And then before the pandemic, well, in fact, it was during the pandemic, I got really fed up with being sat at home. And, I've been following Omonia in Cyprus most of my life. And I decided to do some Instagram videos just for a laugh, talking about Cyprus football and Omonia. And at the time, Matt Derbyshire, who's become a really good mate, was playing for us. And he was with you guys as well. Yeah. And he was reposting my videos. And then a lot of the players started following. And someone called Orko from a Facebook page called the OLB, he messaged me out of the blue. He goes, "Do you fancy doing some podcast for us?" I was like, okay, fair enough. Like, a Charlui, as they call us, a British Cypriot speaking about Omonia in English. And it went crazy. It had about 8,000 views in the first couple of days, which again, for Omonia, is small. Do you know what I mean? And then I took it on and started doing a podcast, which is called No Choftes, which in Cypriot means no nonsense. And again, it was weird for Cypriots to be watching a British Cypriot speaking about Omonia in English. And we kind of gathered a bit of a following, a really loyal following. And, as you know, when you've got these followers and these viewers that have been watching you from day dot, they're your day ones. And it just went from strength to strength. Right now, I wouldn't say, I'm not even hosting it anymore. My colleague Bedro is doing it now because I've just got fed up with the club and how things have been going on and what they've been doing in the background. But I'm not going to go into that. But if I want to rewind maybe 3 years, I started a Cyprus football podcast called This Is Mappa. Mappa is a Cypriot word for football. And then I bumped into a gentleman called Thrylos on X, or Twitter is what it was called then, who was writing about Cyprus football. And I said, "Would you want to come and do the podcast with me?" And he said, "Yeah." And we've just taken it from strength to strength. We've interviewed current players, coaches, ex-players. We've been working with the Players Union in Cyprus, doing podcasts with them. We did a charity marathon podcast in March 2024 for a kids' cancer charity in Cyprus. We had John Carver donating a Scotland shirt. We had so many people getting on board with it. We raised close to $9,000. And again, it's just been an adventure, Augusta. I'm sidestepping here, but prior to me jumping on to talk to you, I was on YouTube and I was just looking at live podcasts because there's a section where you just click on live. And there were some live streams. There was a Swindon Town fan. There was a Wraith Rovers fan. There was a German podcast. And I'm just watching them and talking to them on the live chat like with you guys. And it's great because you build a community. 1 minute you've got 7 or 8 subscribers, and then the next you're like you guys. How many you got? 10,000? 8,000? Oh,
right, 7,700.
7,000. But from where you were at the beginning to where you are now, it's remarkable. We're stuck on 3K at the moment, but the numbers don't matter to me. It's all about the content and just having fun with it. All right, great. If you can make a career out of it, it's very rare that you can, but it's, you go back to it, you go back to your old shows from, your first 3 or 4 shows, and you think, my God, how much have we evolved since then? Yeah. And look at where you were then to where you are now. Look at the people that you've interviewed on the pod. You've interviewed some pretty big hitters, man. So it's just a journey. But in the day, you build this following. And I'm sure it's happened to you. You go to Olympiacos games and people come up to you and say, "Oh, you're the guy from the pod." And it's weird. It's weird. But at the same time, it's humbling because these people have spent an hour or 2 hours an evening to sit down and watch you talk about your club. And you might go back and forth with them and then have disagreements and have the odd critic saying, "Why aren't you doing it in your language?" And the whole point is that the whole point of us doing it is because it's reaching out to more people that perhaps either aren't familiar with the language or do speak the language and want something different, or you want supporters from different clubs and different nations to watch you. It's like with us, with This Is Mappa, our numbers ain't huge, But I can tell you that most of our viewers are outside of Cyprus. We've got viewers in Scandinavia, in Africa, and it's great, you know. So that's the long answer to your question, bro. I've wasted like 8 minutes.
No, it's great because actually, like you touched on it right at the end there. It's like one of the things you get from, I don't even want to call them naysayers, but people that kind of question, like, you know, people come into the chat sometimes like, oh, why are you doing this in English? It's like, okay, but you explained it brilliantly. I mean, even when it comes to relationships with the families of players, like foreign players that come to play in Greece, like they come to us, or like they look at our content as their source for what's going on at the club. And that's been something weird / funny / rewarding, because we've been able to have those connections and like become friends like with the families of some of these players. So yeah, I'll tell you a funny story, mate. I don't know if I've said this before on the podcast. I went to a couple of friendlies, just speaking to your point about like being recognized, and that after 5 years of doing this. One of the friendlies I went to in Holland, I was with my dad and my middle son, who's 5 years old, and we were walking towards the stadium. They were playing like a Sunday league, basically where Olympiacos was training, was their training pitch. We were walking towards the pitch, and there was this guy kind of rocking up with us, going to the friendly. And he heard me. I was speaking to my son in English. My son's like, "Where are we going? Where's the game? Where are the players?" And so, "Oh, you know, we're going to walk up this way, and like we'll be there in a couple of minutes." And he heard my voice, and he said in Greek, like, "Sexero, like, I know your voice from somewhere." It's like, "Are you one of the guys that does that Olympiacos podcast in English?" It's like, "Yeah, hi, nice to meet you, blah blah blah." And it's like, "I'm a lorry driver. I listen to you guys like when I'm driving the lorry at night." And it was like, wow. You know, that was deep.
It makes it worth it, Costa. It makes it worth it. I'm sure you guys have had it. We've had one guy message us, this was a couple of years ago, and you're saying, you know, I'm going through depression, mental health issues, and just watching your show for an hour and a half helps even in that time. And again, it's not like me saying, "Oh yeah, we're you know, we're holier than thou," kind of thing. You know, but it's not like us being braggadocious about it. We find it humbling because we're just normal people. All right, we've got the balls to get behind the camera, in front of a camera, to talk and risk the abuse and risk all the shit that goes with it. But let's get it right. You know, you know the risks when you first start doing it. So if you expect to jump on a podcast and talk and not get any criticism, you're living in a dream world. Because if you got trolls, people just watch you just to criticize. It just tells you that they got problems, man. You know what I mean? Check their hard drives.
Nowadays, especially, man. But yeah, that's a whole different conversation. We got some of your friends on here as well. I think you mentioned Thrylos.
There he is.
Your mate is tuned in as well. Who else have we got? Nikos Simidis. Are we on Greek time? Nico, I apologize, my friend. I said already, that's on me. Duranto, Ben from the Nottingham Forest channel. Go and check out Mr. Dor. Great content on the channel there. Funny time at Nottingham Forest. Like, okay, I'm glad they got rid. I want to say I'm glad they got rid of Nuno. Never been a huge fan, but okay, not here to talk about Forest. But big up Ben Dor. Like, good luck with Ange. Big fan of Ange, being a Tottenham fan, obviously. But what else we got? Panos Vrachiotis says, "Keep up the good work, guys. Any news on Rodine's fitness?" Rodine likely did not play on the weekend because he's going to be starting against Pafos. I think there's nothing wrong with him. No issues related to fitness or training. But let's get into the game. Let's talk about Pafos, because Pafos is an interesting club because, correct me if I'm wrong, but really, the traditional powers in Cyprus, when you think about football, it's okay. When I say Omonia, Anorthosi, Apoel, it's those three. It's those three clubs, and Pafos just kind of come out of nowhere, if I can say that, the last couple of years. So, I mean, we've talked about Pafos before, but not everyone's familiar. But basically, what can you tell us about about Pafos? Like, where have they come from? Explain this rise to power. Is their maiden voyage in the Champions League? Did they play Europe last season? They played Conference League?
Yes, Conference League, yeah. Conference League, yeah. So, okay, well Buffalo is like, they've just been merged like several times. You know, so you had two teams. I think you had Abopa and Evagora that merged in the 90s, and then they merged together to make IEP, and then they merged with another club because they went bankrupt, and then they became Buffalo, right? So they've effectively been around for about 10 years as Pafos FC, but it really changed in 2017 when Total Sports, which is Roman Dubov's agency, took control of the club with Sergei Lomakin in the background. And what they did, they pumped a bit of money into the club, and they were bringing in a few names here and there, got promoted, blah, blah, blah. And they became a bit of a, I don't want to say a joke, but they became a bit of a meme club in Cyprus, because they were bringing in pretty big names like Jason Puncher, and they were big for Cyprus anyway.
Yeah.
And they weren't really getting into the top six, and they weren't really doing anything. And they were sacking coaches left, right, and center. They had Cameron Toshak. They brought in Mihalenko for a bit. They brought in Milanic. They brought in Salgado, who was temporary head coach for a bit. And he's been working with Dubov in the background. And nothing seemed to work. And then they bring in Juan Carlos Carcedo, who was Unai Emery's assistant for many years. He was with him at Arsenal, at Paris Saint-Germain, at Sevilla. I think he was in Moscow with him as well. So he's everything that Unai Emery has won, Carcedo has won as well. So Buffalo brought him in beginning of 2 seasons ago. So not last season, the season before. And it was a little bit of a slow start. And we thought, here we go. Another head coach is going to get sacked because he replaced Henning Berg, who's back at Omonia.
With you now.
Yeah. Anyway, less I say about that, the better. So he started pretty slow, and we were saying, it's only a matter of time before he gets the chop, because this is what happens in Cyprus. You know, last season there were 18 managerial casualties. The year before 18, the year before was 24, something like that. It was crazy. So we thought he's done, but lo and behold, they got to a cup final. They absolutely battered Omonia, beat us 3-0 in the final, and they've won the cup for the first time in their history. So I'll be honest with you, Costa, this didn't surprise me, because the year before they got to the semi-finals and we beat them, Omonia beat them. I think it was actually, was it a year before? It was the year before. And I was saying on No Choftes, don't sleep on Buffalo, because people laugh at them. People say they haven't got many fans and they're giving away free tickets and they're bringing in players on big salaries and they're not doing anything. But I said, Dubov is a winner. Okay, he's not just invested in the club just to make it a toy, right? He's invested in the whole of the city as well. So everywhere you look, there's banners of Buffalo. They're involved in real estate. I think one of the board members owns Gorandina Homes, which is a big real estate company in Cyprus. So they're thinking about the bigger picture. Last summer, not this summer, gone the summer before, you know, again, start from scratch. Don't get rid of loads of players, but just bring in players that will make a difference. And they brought in the likes of Jaja on loan. They brought in Anderson Silva on loan, etc., etc. And last season, with the exception of the first week and I think match week 18, they were top of the league for the whole season. Top of the league the whole season. They won the league with 2 games to go. They beat Ari 4-0 when the league was done. They still had 2 games to play. And they got to the final round of 16 of the Conference League. And again, it's the first time in their history they were in Europe. So you can't sleep on them. Can't sleep on them at all. So for me, it's not a surprise that they've got to that level. Now, people are going to say, well, they've thrown money at it. They have. But they've got a structure. They've got an infrastructure. Their training facility is top-notch. It's state-of-the-art. So it's not as if they're playing in the old training ground. They've done it. I mean, my boss went there the other day, last week, for a meeting, and he was shown around the training facility. And he said to me, this is incredible. It's absolutely incredible for Cyprus anyway. Yeah. So they brought in some really good players, but they focused on their branding, their marketing. Mr. Dubov has got a club in Latvia, Riga.
Where's he from?
He's I think he's Hungarian. I think he's British Hungarian. I think he's British Hungarian. I think. But Thasso can correct me. I'm sure he's Hungarian anyway. Where is he Latvian? Is he right? I think he's Hungarian. I think. Anyway, I don't want to get it wrong. So sorry. But he's working on this multi-club system as well, similar to Marinagi, but at a smaller scale. But the infrastructure is there. Their recruitment team is all about analytics. They've got various scouts across Europe. They've been collaborating with clubs like Sevilla, with Sporting Lisbon, with Atalanta. So again, their ideology and their vision is completely different to what we're used to seeing in Cyprus. Now, clubs in Cyprus are now doing things, I guess, kind of the right way. Ayala working with Levante. Ari somehow have got some relationship with former Glasgow Rangers players because they've got 4 now. But Buffalo are streets ahead of everyone, not just financially, but in terms of how modern football clubs are behaving. So it's no surprise to me that they got into the Champions League at the first attempt, because they've been doing everything right.
I mean, so their qualifying route, they beat Maccabi Tel Aviv 2-1 on aggregate. Yes. So 1-1 in Cyprus. Then they beat them 1-0 away. They beat Dynamo Kiev 1-0 away and beat them 2-0 at home.
Hang on, was it Maccabi 1-1 in Cyprus?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I was on holiday.
Yeah, they
beat Red Star.
They beat Zvezda 2-1 away. Yeah. And they beat Kiev away. Like, those are
the chances they had in the chances they had in Serbia in the game, they could have wrapped up the tie. It was going to extra time in the second leg because they were a goal down, and then Jaja scored that wonderful goal. But they could have wrapped it up in the first leg. They're not pushovers, mate. Honestly, they really are.
I mean, it's interesting to play in the Champions League. You got to deserve it, like especially if you're going through that kind of qualification. Like you have to get through those teams, mate. None of those are easy. Like traveling to Israel, going and playing Kiev.
Well, they played that game in Poland,
in Serbia or wherever.
Serbia.
Not an easy team to play, and then Kiev away and Zvezda, like that speaks volumes. I don't know the club. I don't know their style of play. My perception is that they could be a team that come on Wednesday and they try and play against us like the teams that like to come to Karaiskakis and kind of shut up shop, frustrate us, try and hit us on a counter and catch us unawares. But what can you tell me about their play style? I mean, you said that their coach is somebody that's been around Unai Emery for a very long time. So is it a team that's going to come and like try and attack us on Wednesday? Like, this is a team that, if you look at their fixtures, this is the game probably for them that they've marked down and said, this is the one that we're going to go and like give it everything, and this is the one where we think we can get some points. But like before that, like, what's their style of play? Like, how would you describe their style of play? And then, like, what do you think they're going to do on Wednesday?
Well, more often than not, they go with a 4-2-3-1. And it's all about possession play, all about using the likes of Sunic in the middle of the park with Pepe to spray balls. They like to get the fullbacks forward. Bruno is actually playing right back for them, which came as a big surprise to me, because when he joined them from Omoni, I mean, we had him up front and he was doing all right. I didn't rate him, to be honest, but he was doing all right. But they put him in at right back, and he's done very well in that position, although he's not a natural right back, so I think he's going to be the weak link. But more often than not, I like to get the fullbacks forward. The two wingers on the left-hand side, I'm not sure whether it's going to be Orsic or Ken Sema. So it's going to be one of the two. But on the right-hand side, it'll probably be Correa, who's been outstanding for him. He's a clutch player, mate. He scored a banging goal against Red Star away from home. In fact, last season he was pivotal, and then winning the title, because he scored some last-minute winners or equalizers that really elevated them, gave them that boost. So yeah, they'll probably have, I think Dragomir might play in behind Anderson Silva. And Anderson Silva came in on loan last season And he's kind of like what I like to call, me and Thus call a regen of Jairo, who was their striker last season and their captain. Burly, strong, Brazilian, likes to get stuck in, like a traditional number 9, effectively. And they're similar players. So when Jairo wasn't playing, Anderson came in and did the job anyway. So he'll be like the hold-up player. As I said, they like to dominate possession, like to hold on to the ball, playing out from the back, which really winds me out. I don't like seeing that. Sorry.
Well, that's interesting because we like to punish teams that try to do that.
There you go. I'm like to know who's going to be in goal, because Mikhail has been in goal all season and he's done really well. And Mikhail is kind of like a journeyman goalkeeper because he's 31 now. He was at Apoel, he was at Anorthosi. He's been knocking about clubs, not being a number 1 really. And now he's coming at Buffalo because they sold their goalkeeper Ivosic to Hajduk Split in the summer. But he's made that number 1 spot his own. But they signed a goalkeeper from Ajax, Jay Gorta, in the summer, and he hasn't played yet. But I don't think he's going to play because you're going to give him his debut in a game like this. But then there's David Luiz that joined a few weeks ago, which obviously has helped Buffalo big time with their presence. I mean, I saw him go on CBS Golazzo the other day. So, Buffalo being mentioned on in the media in the United States is unheard of. Yeah. Crazy.
He came on the weekend in a defeat against Apollon. I was reading some summaries, like analysis, people saying that they fielded a weaker side because they were trying to keep players rested for the game against Wednesday. But I'm looking at their lineup here, and I can see Bruno started, Langa started, Pepe started, Sunic started, Correa started, Dragomir started, Ursic and Silva started. So where did that come from, mate? Either people haven't done their homework properly, haven't spent 30 seconds to get on SofaScore and have a look at their lineup, but I have no idea where that came from, mate.
Vlad played. He played as the 10. Goldar started. Goldar wasn't ever present last season. Lucasen was sent off, but he wasn't ever present. Yeah. Pepe played. Okay, Mikhail wasn't ever present last season, but this season he has been. Anderson played. Anderson started. All right, Kina came off the bench, but Correa was playing.
Is Pileas their starter?
Yeah, he's a left back. Yeah.
Pileas didn't play that game.
No, he didn't. He, to be honest, he wasn't a starter last season because they had their left back on loan from Sporting. I think their left back. I forget his name now. His name's gone out of my head. Was it? What's his name? Thus will remind me. The left back that was another proper shithouse. But they're a physical team, Buffalo. But what I will say is the one thing you can do is get at them physically because they don't like being roughed up. Don't like it. But that's what Apollon did to them at the weekend. They roughed them up, good and proper. And Apollon needed to win because their coach is under pressure already 2 games in. Mm-hmm. So they roughed them up. They did the dark arts. They got a goal and then, just closed the game out, really. But in all fairness, Buffalo have been sublime so far this season, with the exception of that performance. They've been brilliant. I mean, the European campaigns have been exceptional. And the thing is with them is that they don't know when they're beaten. Last season, it started at the beginning of the summer last season when they were in the Conference League qualifiers against CSKA Sofia. They took that to penalties, I think it was. And again, they were losing the game and they just get last-minute equalizers or last-minute winners. So they are a resilient team. But what I will say, my biggest concern for them going into the game against you guys isn't so much the physical element, it's the stamina element. Because don't forget, their season last year started in July. And then obviously they've had the whole season. They've had European games, league games. They got to the cup final as well, which they lost. They only had 5-week break this summer because I think they went pre-season beginning of July, where they played Wimbledon and Leyton Orient in Marbella. Marbs, come on. Leyton Orient, Marbs. And then they've been playing since then. So I just think at the weekend they looked a little bit tired. Perhaps they had one eye on Olympiacos. I don't know. But it wasn't the buffer that we're used to seeing. So again, I don't know whether it's, fatigue creeping in early, or maybe they just weren't as focused as Apollon and took their off the ball. I don't know.
And do you think they're going to adapt, play a different kind of, way of playing on Wednesday? You said they're a possession-based team. I can imagine what you mentioned about players like Pepe trying to get on the ball and make things happen. He flopped big time out of Olympiacos. I remember actually we talked about him with the vice president of the club, the first interview we did with him, and the manager at the time, Pedro Martins, when he signed Pepe, he said, "Oh, this guy, you'll see, he's better than Guilherme, who, he was our midfield engine, who ended up going out to Saudi Arabia to play under Xavi Hernandez. He wanted to go out there, got a good payday, whatever." Pepe flopped with us, but you could see like there's certain qualities in the player, like the ability technically on the ball. Bit lightweight though. Like a lightweight player, if you put a physical player on him, if you try and like rough him up a little bit, like game over with him. But how is he the guy like that makes that team tick?
Well, he was player of the year last year for the whole league.
Really?
Yeah. And to be fair, look, I mean, you can say what you want about the Cyprus league. Yeah, it's certainly not on an elite level, but the league is improving. And last season, I think we saw the Pepe that you guys expected to see. Very good in possession, scans the pitch, very intelligent, got a great right foot, scored some cracking goals as well, 25, 30 yards, put him top bin. His positioning has been fantastic. But yeah, he does get roughed up. I think that's why they got Sunic here, because Sunic, they signed him from Birmingham City, but he's a proper Balkan central midfielder that loves getting down to it, so I think he's kind of there as a protector. But again, Sunic can play as well. So I don't know how they're going to set up against you guys, because part of me thinks they might go free at the back with Lucas Ngolda and David Luiz. But I've never seen them do that. Well, not in starting games. I've seen them doing it to close games out, to go free at the back and have your wing backs. So I don't know how they're going to set up tomorrow, but look, if they can keep it tight for at least the first 15, 20 minutes, they'll make it difficult for you guys. But the problem with Cypriot teams is that a lot of players tend to switch off at key moments. And it's rife throughout the league. So I'm just a little bit concerned that if they do concede a goal early, it might be 3 or 4,
I mean, that's what we'll be looking for, I think, mate. I mentioned it yesterday on our live show after the Panathinaikos game. It is a match that I worry about, because for us, the ambition obviously is to at least be in the next round. So getting into that top 24, having another game to play in February after our last game in January. So you've got to start with 3 points in this game, because then you travel to Arsenal on October 1st. Barcelona after that. Then I think we've got PSV at home. We've got Real Madrid at home. And then we've got like Kairat away in Kazakhstan. And our last game is against Ajax away. So, if we start, this game and we don't get 3 points, you're not expecting to get anything out of the next 2 games. And then you're like, okay, you're way down in the gutters of the league phase and it's hard to get out. So it's a must win. I think that puts immense pressure on us on Wednesday. I may be sounding a little bit cautious, defeatist, I don't know what, but we've seen against Cypriot sides in the past as well that we've historically had trouble. The Anorthosis game is still a nightmare. Losing 3-0 out there and then winning 1-0 at Karaiskakis, but playing against Ketsbaia's team, I was at that game at Karaiskakis and we just couldn't break through.
Don't mention that guy, please.
I know.
Don't mention that guy.
But
we still got PTSD from him being our head coach for the national team. I don't want to talk about him,
mate. I mean, Who's the player to look out for? We talked about Pepe, but like for you, who's the one to look out for? Is it Korea you mentioned?
Korea for sure. Correa for sure, but they've got options coming off the bench, as I mentioned, Ken Sema or Orsic, whichever one of them starts. And then you've got Jaja, the Brazilian. He's the one that scored the goal in the second leg against Red Star. He's very tricky, very skillful. He's got this turn of pace, and in a 1v1, I wouldn't bet against him against any defender. He's that good. But they've got a dearth of talent, to be honest. Even look, Golda is what, 31, 32, and again, dark arts as a central defender from set pieces. That 6-yard box, he could be a nuisance. Lucasen is really good in the air from set pieces. He scored quite a few goals from corner kicks because he just rises above everyone. And then you got Dragomir, who broke through. He was in Arsenal's academy, didn't really get an opportunity. He came to Cyprus, and now he's playing for the Romanian national team. There's loads of good players in that squad, but again, when Olympiacos are a different level, okay? But Pafos have shown that they can upset teams. Now, as I said before, opening quarter of the game is going to be massive for them, because if they concede early, then they might crumble. But they get early goals as well. And that's a good thing about them. They can get a goal from 25, 30 yards. They're not afraid to have a pop from range. And if you don't expect it, and if you get a little deflection, goalkeeper's wrong-footed, you just never know. You just never know. So I'm hoping they do well, not just for against you guys, but they got Bayern Munich, they got Chelsea, they got Juventus. Not a bad start to your first Champions League campaign, is it?
Yeah. But again, that's why they're kind of looking at this game and they're thinking, all right, this is one where we want to give it everything we have. We've got the highest chances of trying and getting a point, 3 points.
Mate, do you know, I'll be honest with you, the amount of confidence they have in that squad, right? They're probably going into every game thinking we're going to get something out of this. This is the mentality. And this is the other thing. Mentality is huge, as you know, right? It's a huge factor. And this team, it's different. It's different compared to other teams. Okay, as much as I hate to admit this, when Abuel won the league a couple of years ago, the deck was stacked against them all season. The head coach was banned from the touchline for about 3 months. Sapinto, absolute madness. They got financial problems. The fans were banned from games, blah, blah, blah. And they overcame the odds, overcame adversity to win the league title. And that shows character, that shows mentality. That's the last time I saw a team that really grafted and said, right, everything is against us, sod it. Let's just go for it. Mm-hmm. Same happened with Buffalo last season, but in a different kind of situation, in the sense that people expected them to win. People expected them to challenge for the title. People expected them to finally get that title because you spent all that money, the pressure's on, and they didn't buckle at all. At all. The game against Ari, home game, like what was it? The penultimate home game of the season, where they had to win the title. They didn't just win; they slapped them about. Absolutely, and this is Ari, who've got big names in this team. They got Connor Goldson. They've got X amount of players that have played at a high level, and they slapped them about. There's 3-0 up at half time, no, 2-0 up at half time, and then got a third before just at the beginning of the second half. So the mentality is there, but it starts from the top. And as you know, from experience, if the people at the top are neglecting the team, not just the first team, I'm talking about the academy, I'm talking about all the other things from scouting to everything else, it's going to fail. But they haven't neglected it. Everything is falling into place for them. I mean, even their under-19s, they've won 3 league titles in a row. So they're not messing about. They really ain't. And it's scary what they can do, because now they've got in the Champions League, I think they're guaranteed about 18 million. So it's a madness. It really is. And there are clubs in Cyprus at 18, 20, 30, 50 million in debt.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think you've given us a lot of insight already.
Just get it wide and attack Bruno and you'll be fine.
I was going to say,
get down that left-hand side of yours, attack him, and you'll be fine. Sorry, can't defend for shit.
I know, but to talk about the lineup prediction, I mean, I think from Pafos' side, is fairly clear. I'm looking at their lineup from the weekend, and I'm expecting more or less the same. Maybe Jaja's in, maybe Luiz is in. For Olympiacos, I'm getting a lot of questions here about lineup. Do we expect Taremi and El Kabi to start up front together? No, I do not expect that to happen because Yaremchuk's still injured, or he's not available. So I expect Taremi will start on the bench. El Kabi will start the game for sure. I haven't heard that Rodinei is injured. I expect him to start. Ortega will keep his position on the left-hand side. I think Lorenzo Pirola will take up a place next to Panos Retsos at centre-back. He didn't play on the weekend. Midfield's a bit of an enigma. We've got a lot of midfield players. Dani Garcia is an ex-Atletico Bilbao player that joined us last season. Solid player, experienced, the kind of player that the Pafos midfield might not like to play against. He's a Basque central midfielder, mate. So he's not afraid to get in people's faces. Good technique. He can spray the ball around as well. I hope Christos Mouzakidis plays on Wednesday night. He's 18, 19-year-old central midfielder, left-footed. I don't know if you've seen him play still. Hotly tipped player. Very, very good. First thing on his mind when he gets the ball, he already knows where he's going to send it. Like he turns and his body's ready to play that ball forward. Otherwise, we have a bit of a weakness, in my view, in that some of our central midfield options, they're not as good as Mouzakidis in taking the ball forward, or just playing directly in front. They get the ball, they swing it out to the wing, or they might play a 20 or 30-yard ball again to the wing, but not through the middle, cutting through 2-3 players with a through ball. We don't have many players in central midfield that can do that. We have a lot of players that can press, like Santiago Hesse or Lorenzo Scipioni, that we signed, 2 Argentines that we have in midfield. So we've got aggressive players in midfield, but for me, it's an enigma. I have no idea who's going to start in central midfield. Daniel Podence made a cameo on the weekend. He's back, his second return, his third stint at the club, and he had an instant impact. He scored a goal within 1.5 minutes of entering the pitch, scored a curler from 30 yards. Beautiful goal, got an assist for Taremi's goal as well, his first one. So I don't think Podence is going to start on Wednesday. So it will probably, that's a good question actually, who's going to be the winger, because Gelson got injured against Panathinaikos. Gelson Martins, the former Sporting Lisbon guy, went to Monaco as well. He would normally start on the right, but I think Gabi Strefezza, who we brought in from Como, will probably start on the right-hand side. So Remy Cabella is not eligible. Yusuf Yazigi is also not in the list. So it's either young lad Stavros Pneumonidis or Podence, really, that starts on the left. And I fancy Podence having a good go at Bruno.
Joe, I didn't even realize he's only 29.
Podence.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not yet 30. I think he just turned 29 too.
He's a cracking player, man. Cracking player.
I mean, when we had Kevin Miralas, we spent 5-6 years looking for a winger, looking for somebody to replace him. And it ended up being, I think, in my opinion, Podence was the one that kind of made the Olympiacos fans forget about Miralas for a while. And then, we sold him to Wolves after a season and a half for, I think, a record fee at the time. It was around 22 million euros. And then for 3-4 seasons, it was, we need somebody to replace Podence. And then we ended up bringing him back. Then he didn't re-sign with us after winning the Conference League. He went out to Saudi. Now he's back on loan again because we couldn't find anyone to replace him.
Amazing.
So
it sounds like unorthodoxy with head coaches, because they got Ketsbaia in for the third time.
Oh God, yeah. I remember this might be a funny story for you, yes or no. I remember when we when we had Ketsbaia, when he came in, he didn't last long. If you remember well, I think he lasted like 3-4 games and he was gone. I met Yannis Skopelitis.
Oh,
you remember
wow.
him? I met Yannis Skopelitis in a club in Antwerp one night. The most random like outing was I think I was out on like a stag or something, and I saw the guy and I was like, okay, I'm a big Greek football guy. And I was like, oh, that's Yannis Skopelitis. I was telling people, and I think he spent quite a lot of time in Cyprus, right? And I remember asking him, he was like, oh mate, you know, we just got Ketsbaia as a coach. How do you think it's going to go? And he looked at me, he's like, yeah. I remember his reaction was kind of dead on, like, yeah, it's not going to go well.
Oh, mate. The thing is, right, I get mixed reactions when I speak to players that have played under Ketsbaia. There are some that say, oh, he's a really nice guy and, you know, he gets the best out of his players. And see, I can understand that because he's all fire. He's just a fiery guy. Yeah. But then there are others that have said, fuck that guy. Honestly, there are others that say, fuck that guy. And I'm leaning towards that because when he was head coach of our national team, all right, we're not great, but my God, how can he take us? He took us rock bottom. We called him 007 because the first 7 games was 0 wins, 0 draws, 7 defeats.
Really? Bloody hell.
Yeah. But then he got the sack finally, and then I've still got the job, and then he lasted a few games, and then he was offered the job at Apollon. So he went to Apollon, and now we've got Manzios, and he's doing really well.
Really well. Akis Manzios. Akis Manzios is your coach now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're doing well, man. We're playing some good football. Right? The results haven't been great. I mean, against Romania, we were 2-0 down, and we drew it to 2, pulled it back to 2-2. Like under Ketsbaia, we'd have been walloped 7-8-0. This guy is a terrorist. He's a terrorist, bro. Like, you know, he was playing 5-4-1 in games, and he was playing central midfielders at centre back and centre backs at central midfield. What is this?
Yeah, I remember he had Kyriakos Papadopoulos, 15 years of age, I think 15, 16 at the time. He was considered a sensation at the time. Do you remember him? Kyriakos Papadopoulos ended up playing for Schalke. Now he's playing like obscure.
His knees were all over the place.
Yeah. He had some bad injuries, but I remember Ketsbaia gave him a shot. Like he played him as a defensive midfielder. Gave him a few starts and a couple of cameos, I remember. But yeah, the Ketsbaia era at Olympiacos is really something we choose to forget, or just has been blanked out of the memory of most.
He's a legend at Anorthosis, right? So, and I get it. As a player, he was outstanding. As a coach, he won them league title, took them to the Champions League, blah, blah, blah. And in fact, the last time they won a trophy was 2021 when he was their coach. They won the cup. But times have changed, man. And what he was doing 4 years ago, it doesn't fly these days. And don't forget, I mean, you don't know this, but Anorthosis signed about 24 players this summer. I'm not even joking.
Yeah. Well, you know, we're no strangers to that. But those days are gone, thank God. He did coach Syke for a while. Yeah. One of the worst Olympiacos coaches, probably. Mate, you used to have Anastasiadis as a coach as well. God. Yeah. Yes, my God.
But you know what? To be fair, our under-21s are half decent. We've actually got good crop of youngsters coming through. And there's a lot of British Cypriots, and they're getting opportunities now, like Ruo Sotiriou and Hector Kibranu, and it's looking good. We've got a goalkeeper that's in Watford's under-21s, Gab Ortelli, is half Italian, actually lives in Wichmore Hill. And he's got called up to the 21s. We've got Harry Mills, who's at Brighton. He's in the 21s. And we've got a lad at Man United that's 14 years old that's doing well, JJ. So we've got the players, but there's a lot of, look, I don't know what it's like in Greece, but in Cyprus, you've got what I call the Meso Mafia. You know, it's not what you know, who you know, which agent, blah, blah. Yeah. And then you've got the National Service, which kind of messes things up a little bit. I don't know. There isn't enough emphasis on youth development as far as I'm concerned. The clubs are changing. Don't get me wrong, but again, with Buffalo, for example, most of the under-19s are South American or Eastern European. They stay in Cyprus for 5 or 6 years. They get their citizenship, and then world is your oyster, or the EU is your oyster. So
yeah. Now we signed a Cypriot player this summer for our academy. I think he actually came from Pafos' academy, a guy called Glafko.
Yeah.
So
We've got high hopes. Look, some of our younger players from clubs have gone to the Primavera in Italy.
In Italy, there's a few that have done that as well, like Greek players. Castanos, isn't that the one that was at Juventus academy? Nah, okay.
He's okay. Look, as a number 10, he shits the bed, but they dropped him into the central midfield role, and he was excellent against Romania. So again, I don't know whether it's maybe the responsibility of playing as an attacking midfielder that he can't seem to do it. But when they dropped him as an 8, he was fantastic.
It's like a little trip down memory lane here. Fedon Laifi was signed by Olympiacos, but he was loaned out to Liège in Belgium almost immediately. And then I think he came back in the summer, trained a bit, and then went back to Liège again. So he never played for Olympiacos. But as far as Cypriot players are concerned, the ones that come to mind for me, like Gokic, for sure. Sinisa Gokic, legend. I remember when we signed him, Bajovic was our coach, and a lot of fans were like, who is this old man that we just signed from Cyprus? And he was absolutely incredible. Who else? Michalis Kostadinu, Yanakis Sokas. Who else? Yeah, a lot of strikers, mate.
Who was? Did Alonefti go to Greece? Or was it Maleko? I can't remember which one of the two.
Aloneftis went to Larissa. He played for Larissa for a little bit. And Malekos went to, I think he was at Panathinaikos. For a bit. Yeah.
So but we get a lot of Greek players coming into our league as well. So we got Omoni have got 3.
But you've got Kitso.
We've got Kitso, we've got Masura, and we've got Haziovani.
Is he playing? He's playing for you now.
Yeah. God. Fodi as well, Babuli. But Fodi's Greek, and then he got his Cypriot citizenship.
Do I think Strefezza will play? Yeah, I do think Strefezza will play. Good little player, mate. I don't know if you've seen him, but we signed him from Como. He was their season MVP last season.
Okay.
Fabregas was a big fan, apparently, but mate, we apparently forked out 8 million to sign this guy.
Okay.
Which for a Greek club is a fair, not a fair amount of money. It's a lot of money for a player that, to be honest, I'd never heard of. This guy. This guy basically. He's got an interesting story. He was playing for Spal in the 2nd division in Italy. I think he helped them come up. And he's, he's not a big name, but he's a team player. He's that kind of player that the coaches love. And he's played a few games now for us. He came on as a sub in the 30th minute to replace Gelson Martins, who got injured. And he looked really lively. I think he'll have a role to play, like an important one, on Wednesday. Very interesting player. Look forward to seeing him more.
Tell me about these players that have gone to Brighton. I haven't spoken to you about them.
Kostoulas and Tzimas. So I mean, what can I say about Kostoulas, mate? He's a player that we'd been hearing about for the last 3-4 seasons, like maybe going back 4 seasons. We'd heard about Kostoulas because his dad played for us.
Okay.
His dad was a centre-back. He was a little bit of a coach's pet, or he was perceived as a coach's pet because he was a Greek player. So they're always kind of minimized in value by Greek fans in particular, who always want the shiny kind of foreign star to come in.
Rivaldos, yeah.
Yeah, even at centre back, like we tried to sign players like Jorge Bermudez, who was the captain of Boca Juniors. He came in.
I remember him.
Yeah,
I remember him.
Five, 6 games, and then left because he got in a bust up in the changing room after a game. But Kostoulas was like an
Ketsbaia the coach at the time.
No. Like Kostoulas, the dad, Kostoulas Senior, Thanasis Kostoulas, was an ever-present for like 6-7 seasons, like won multiple championships, played Champions League, had experience. In Greek, we say timios pechtis, just like, just you can't not like him. He's like a respectable player. He earns his money. He's a good squad player. If he sits on the bench, he's not going to moan. If he plays, he's going to give 110% every game. And so we started hearing the name Kostoulas again, and he's got 2 kids. Like one of them plays centre back. He's the eldest, and then the youngest is Babis Karalabos, who went to Brighton. And particularly with Babis, already, like I said, 3-4 seasons ago, everyone's like, you need to watch out for this boy. He's coming, and he's coming hot. And we had the youth league was a big opportunity for those young lads to show the world or show Europe like what they can do, and that was a really like very, very good crop of players, tightly knit group, all Greeks. They were playing against teams that weren't homogenous. Like they had, you look at like AC Milan's side, they had different nationalities. Like we had 11 Greeks on the pitch, and they were a unit, and they were hard to play against. They played a 3-4-3 formation with Kostoulas as the point man. He's really, mate, the thing that, if you ask me what is one of his defining characteristics, or what really stood out for me, is just how strong he is.
Right.
He started playing for us at age 16, 17 against grown men in Super League 2, where they're really rough. And last season, his breakout season with the first team, just, mate, you had grown men, veterans, like big build bodies, just bouncing off him, trying to challenge him, trying to tackle him, and just couldn't knock him off the ball.
Sorry to interrupt, but do you think this has got something to do with Ibagatha? Because he was there, wasn't he, for a while as a coach? Wasn't he coaching?
They didn't really have much interaction.
No?
Like Ibagasa was around the academy, and he was the Olympiacos B coach a couple of seasons ago. And I think Kostoulas may have got a couple of games, like some minutes under him towards the end. But that was a bit of a catastrophe, like that experiment the first time round with the B team. But the coming out party was really the youth league, UEFA Youth League, with Kostoulas, Mouzakitis, Bakoulas, Papakanelos, that group of players, Sina, the goalkeeper. A lot of those players are out at Rio Ave now, which is part of the Marinakis group.
That's important.
So, yeah, I mean,
I was in Portugal in the summer. In fact, a few weeks ago, I was staying in Estoril, and I went up to Lisbon. I got a mate that was the academy director many years ago, and he sorted me out tickets to the Sporting game. They beat Arouca 6-0, and you could just tell that the Portuguese know ball. Do you get what I'm saying? And their league, while people do shit on it and say, "Oh, it's a farmers' league" and that kind of stuff. Yeah. If it was such a farmers' league, why are there so many quality players being developed there and then being shifted to Premier League clubs and Serie A and La Liga? They know what they're doing out there. With Marinaki owning a club out there,
there's a lot you can say, mate. I mean, Portugal is a hub for bringing in players from South America, Brazilian market in particular. Yeah. And we've seen some comings and goings with, I think, is it Athletic Mineiro? There's been a lot of talk about Vasco da Gama, Marinaki buying a club out in Brazil. So I think there's more to see there. And there's Edu, obviously, now as global head of football for the group. Yeah. So, that whole multi-ownership structure that's being built is super interesting. I think a lot of people expected at the beginning that there'd be a lot of interaction between Forest and Olympiacos, but it hasn't really worked or played out that way. This season there was no interaction, like transfers, loans, nothing like that. I think you look at it now, and like I said, there's 4 or 5 players from Olympiacos at Rio Ave, plus the coach that won the youth league, who was Sotiris Laidopoulos.
Yeah.
He was asked by Mendilibar to join the technical team last season. He was assistant coach, and this season they've sent him out to get experience in Portugal as the head coach at Rio Ave.
And one of his assistants was interim head coach at Apoel last season, Samyo.
Who's that?
Vangelis Samyo.
Okay. Didn't know that.
He was he stepped in when Jose Dominguez was sacked last season? Was it when not when Dominguez was sacked? Was it Jimenez? Yeah, Jimenez was sacked. Manolo. He was sacked from Apoel. He was there for about 2 months, if that.
Jesus. Yeah, he's at Aris now. He's been doing the rounds. But mate, I know Kostoulas hasn't played at Brighton yet. There was an injury at the end of last season. He didn't play a competitive game since April. Nobody really knew what the injury was exactly, the extent of it, the seriousness. But there was even talk that discussions have been going on with Brighton for a long time, or clubs. We knew that. People think it was a hard decision to sell him, but in reality, I think it wasn't. Like when a club comes to you and says we're going to pay you 40 million or thereabouts, you can't say.
How old is he?
He's 18. I think just turned 18.
So you're getting 40 million for an 18-year-old. You don't know how his career is going to go. If he's 26, 27, you know where his career is heading. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But 18 years old. Right, God forbid something happens to him. If he breaks his leg or does an ACL or whatever, you just don't know.
The discussion was like, all right, stay and play Champions League. Your value is only going to go up, and then there's the World Cup, and again your value is going to go up. But to your point, you don't know what's going to happen. Like you don't know about an injury that might be around the corner, and you get that kind of offer. It's a record. It's an Olympiacos.
And what if he gets in the first team and stinks the place out? Then what?
I'm not worried about Babis. Like besides his physical traits that I talked about, like technically he is gifted. He's got everything, mate. He's got the full package. As a footballer, he's got a great family, a humble family that will keep his feet on the ground. He's very ambitious, and I think one of his most important traits is just mentally he's strong. He believes in himself. And like Dedofovame, I'm not afraid of him failing. And even like if it doesn't work out at Brighton, again, I'm not worried about him. He has the mentality of a monster. Like maybe not like Kobe Bryant, but the guy's driven, mate. The guy's driven. He wants to succeed. He wants to improve.
But this is the thing, Costa, right? Look, we see it with Cypriot players when they go abroad and they don't do well. Like, for example, Marino Johnny left on money. He went to Sporting Kansas. And people saying, oh, he went to MLS and he flopped. And now he's playing in Romania, blah, blah, blah. But what these people don't understand is that when a player is, say, for example, 18 years old and he goes to a Premier League team, if he's there for 2 years, right? Imagine the education he'll get. Imagine the football education. We're talking about an elite club here, a Premier League club. Yeah? The education that kid will get. So by the time he's 20, 21 years old, he will have more elite level experience than a player that's been playing in Greece for 10, 15 years. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And they think it's a failure because they haven't scored 30 goals a season. I mean, what is this? What are we doing here? What are we doing?
That's
madness, bro.
People like to talk, especially now on socials. You can just hide behind a avatar and write whatever the hell you want.
People will talk the most, do the least.
Yeah. But yeah, mate, watch out.
I've been talking for an hour.
No, but watch out for Kostoulas. I hope we see him soon. The other guy, Stefanos Tzimas, he's a PAOK youth academy product. Very good player. He played under Miroslav Klose in Bundesliga 2, I think it was, last season. Nuremberg. I think he learned a lot under Klose. He talks about that a lot in his interviews. Different types of player, both of them. They're, in my opinion, nothing alike. Kostoulas can play striker. I don't think he quite has the body for it yet to play alone up front.
Yeah.
But I think, like, looking at Brighton's team, they've got Danny Welbeck, they've got Tzimas, and they've got Babis. I can see Babis playing off Welbeck. I can see him playing off Tzimas. And
Welbeck is a cracking player to learn from. And people give him a lot of stick, man.
I've heard good things about him. Yeah, like he's good bloke apparently as well.
Yeah. I've heard good things from people that I know that know his family. But it's not just that. You got to think that. All right, I don't think. I think only maybe once or twice he scored more than double figures in a Premier League season. But a player like him with his movement and his heading ability, and don't forget, he's played for Man United for several years. He's played in the Premier League all of his career, Arsenal, this and that. So, all right, you could say, oh, he's not a world-class player, but he's played at a world-class level for many, many years with world-class players.
Yeah.
You know, Welbeck was at United with various players around him that had won everything. Then he went to Arsenal with Ozil and Sanchez and all these. He's learned a lot, and I'm pretty certain that those lads will learn from him.
Exactly.
It's what I keep on saying. It's like when Omonia won the league in talk about Omonia again. When we won the league in 2021, we had players like Thomas Huber-Chan that won the Europa League with Zenit St. Petersburg. Adam Lang, Hungarian international. Jordi Gomez that won the FA Cup with Wigan Athletic, and Eric Botiak that played in Ligue 1. And I was saying, these younger players that are breaking through, like your Gaguli, like your Johnnies, like your Humble, like your Loizu, if they don't learn from these players with experience, you got no chance in football, no chance whatsoever. Use them. That's what they're there for.
Yeah. No, I think that's a big plus for Kostoulas, having a player like Welbeck around, mate. We'll see. It's been a tough start for him and for Tzimas. Like, Tzimas got minutes I think in the last game they lost 2-1 at the weekend, but Kostoulas hasn't played a minute yet for the men's team, and the coach keeps saying he needs time. So let's see. They'll give him time. But speaking of time, we're over an hour. I think we're done on the Pafos segment. But what we haven't done is something I'm not a huge fan of, but
predictions.
Match predictions. What you got? What you got for Wednesday?
Head and heart. Can I do head and heart?
Yeah, sure.
My head says 2-0 Olympiacos. My heart says 1-1.
Draw. Okay. What's the mood actually in Cyprus? I didn't ask you this earlier. Like, generally, like reading Cypriot media, like Cypriot football community. What's the vibe like going into that game? What are people thinking?
Well, look, I don't think it's any secret that there are thousands of Olympiacos fans, Cypriots out there. I mean, they love the basketball. They,
they were out there just now.
Yeah, mate, the Greek league, they love it. So every time a player from Greece comes to Cyprus, because I don't follow the Greek league, I'm going to lie to you. I just know you guys, Icon, Panathinaikos, they're only 3 teams that are really bulk, 4 teams. So the rest I'm not too familiar with. Okay, I've got a couple of mates I've played out there, but anyway. So I don't get overexcited about these players because I don't watch them. But when I see certain players coming to Cyprus and, the Cypriots say, oh, he's a great player, I say, okay, fine, it is what it is. So because it's Olympiacos, there's going to be so much hype. But the thing is, if it was Omonia or Upwell, it would be mad. It will be utter madness. When Omonia played Olympiacos, okay, it was during the pandemic and all that kind of stuff, so it was difficult. But there was still hype. But because Pafos are still, in terms of a fan base, a small team, they don't get as much coverage as they should. Okay, since they won the league and got into the Champions League, they've got loads of it. But when they won the cup, they won the cup, and okay, it's the first brick in the palace, so to speak. But there wasn't a big hoo-ha about it, But now that they're in Europe, and now obviously you've got David Luiz and all these other players that they've been linked with, and now it's a big deal. So, loads of the press are going to love it. They're going to go out there. They're going to take their photographs and do all their videos and all that, because it's almost like a once-in-a-lifetime thing. I mean, the last time a Greek team played a Cypriot team in the Champions League was when? Was that Anorthosis or Omonia in the qualifiers? But in the
qualifiers, yeah.
But in the groups, like, when did that happen?
I can't even remember one, mate. Nah, never.
Did Abor play a Greek
think.
team? Maybe Thrylos can remind me. I don't remember them playing a.
I can't remember. No.
Must have been Anorthosi, or maybe Apollon.
And Orthosi was a qualifier too.
Yeah, and Apollon was a qualifier against you guys.
Yeah.
So in the group stages, in the Champions League, can't remember the last time it happened. There's one there, Anorthosi Panathinaikos. What was that? 2000? Oh God, what year was that? I can't remember now. It's got in my head. Anyway, so yeah, it's a big deal, clearly. But again, Cypriot teams in Europe, whoever our teams play, there's going to be a big thing made about it because it's our teams in Europe. And look, as an Omonia fan, I don't like seeing Abwal do well in Europe, but it's for the coefficient. It's for our clubs. Yeah. I'm sitting there, and for the sake of our podcast, it's great to see 3 teams. We've got 3 teams. I mean, right now our coefficient's doing crazy stuff. So I think we're higher than Poland at the moment, which is mad.
So are you coefficient FC?
So far, yeah. So far. Well, look, the way I see it, and again, this is from a really selfish perspective, the better the Cypriot teams do in Europe, the better it is for the podcast. I mean, we're doing something with a French publication tomorrow. We've got Aberdeen wanting to talk to us. We've got some Crystal Palace fans wanting to speak to us because I are playing them. For no Choftes, because we've got a Patreon, so I do like with you when you're talking to people such as myself to discuss opponents. So we've got a German journalist for Mainz. We've got Kosovan for what's the team that we're playing? There's a Kosovan team we're playing. I mean, even in the qualifiers, I had a Georgian one for Gudaisi. I had a guy from Azerbaijan for Zira. So again, it's almost as if I support Omonia Limited, bro. Okay, come on, I know where he's going with this. Yeah, well, I was a Gate 9 boy before, but yeah, I'm Omonia Limited now. Okay, all right. Yeah, I see the comments, motherfucker. Don't worry. It's all right. It's bants. It's all good. But yeah, listen, at the day, it's going to be a great spectacle for everyone, and yeah. Happy days. So thank you for your time. Thank you everyone for tuning in.
Thank you for your time. What do you mean thank me for my time?
Anytime. And your Wi-Fi's been perfect, by the way.
I don't want to talk about it.
It's been perfect. It's been perfect. Not one glitch.
Jesus Christ. That's the reason why we started late.
No, he's drinking his protein shake, guys. He drank too much protein, so he pops to the loop.
Didn't even have time to have the protein shake. I came straight back home from the gym and was like, all right.
None of that rubbish. Just eat meat, man. Come on, you're Greek. None of these protein shakes. Alex, come on, Alex.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate y'all. We did put a poll up in the chat. Match predictions for the game against Pafos. 87% saying Olympiacos win, 6% draw, 6% loss.
That's Alex. Alex and Thasso. They're the 6%. Go for them.
So let's see. So we got game kicking off at 6:45 Central European time. That's 7:45 in Greece. It's the early kickoff. My kids are still going to be awake. I'm probably going to watch the game with them. God, my nerves in these kinds of games, especially, mate. The ones that you have to win, I get so freaking stressed, mate, because all right, we need to fucking win this game, And when you're playing against an Arsenal, Barcelona, Real Madrid, just all right, whatever happens in this game, let's just watch it, enjoy it. We're playing with the big boys, but yeah, hope for the best. My match prediction, I bloody hate these things, but I'm going to go 3-1. I hope. Let's see if I'm on the money. I've even been asked to say who's going to score the goals. I'll say El Kabi 1, Podence 1, and Taremi 1 when he comes on as a sub. So let's see, and mate, if Pepe scores, and the nightmare scenario is just playing in my head of Bruno and Pepe scoring, and it's just mate, I swear my TV is not going to survive if Bruno and Pepe score and we lose.
Oh my God!
It's just going to be, mate. Yeah, it's going to be box office stuff on the post match.
Oh mate, David Luiz free kick.
Oh Jesus Christ! don't even want to think about it. So here's a funny story, actually. Fun fact: last time David Luiz played at the Karaiskakis, he was playing for Benfica. He was one of their marquee signings. We beat them 5-1. We had Diogo, who we signed from. Who did we signed Diogo from? Do you remember him? Like Arsenal, Chelsea, like there were Premier League clubs looking at him.
What do you think from Shakhtar, did he?
No.
They always had Brazilians.
He came straight from Brazil. He was like a 10 million euro signing at the time. It was a big signing for Olympiacos, big money spent. Like he came in, played under Valverde. He looked like a world beater his first season. And then it went to shit real quick. Like the second season, he ended up going to Thailand.
Profile,
yeah. So I think he's retired now, even. But anyway, that's the last.
So he's 38.
so that's the last time David Luiz played at the Karaiskakis, and Diogo showed him up big time.
Well, Luiz is 39, I think. Is he 39, 38?
Yeah.
39?
Yeah. Approaching 40.
But I'll tell you what, he looked all right, man. He looks pretty sharp. So, anyway, let's see. Guys, thanks very much for following us tonight. Don't forget to leave a like. Doesn't cost you anything, means everything to us. Go and check out Stel's podcast. The details are on the description below. No Choftes Network. You've got all the handles there: Instagram, Twitter, the YouTube. Head over there, go and subscribe. Get all of your updates related to Cypriot football and more. Bants with Stel and his crew over there. Show some love. Stel, thanks again, mate. Thanks for coming on. Thank you.
Really appreciate you, and always a pleasure, mate. And hope nothing but good energy for you guys this season. I know it's tough times at Omonia, but I hope you guys manage to find your way again. And
we're doing all right.
And thanks very much. Hope you enjoyed this preview. Leave your comments. Let us know your match predictions as well. Drop them in the description. Sorry, in the bloody comments below. It's midnight. I'm late. I'm going to bed.
It's all right.
This is Costa from Thrylos International signing off. See you next time.